Hello, everyone.
Yep, they're working.
Okay, yeah. My previous crew, I did get that sobering reminder of how it could be different.
Oh, nice. That's my first time seeing the Fursquared shirts. Those look awesome.
The F2 shirts?
Yeah. Very cool. Nice.
I love the green.
Hey.
All right,
Is it time?
it's time. On
Do
stage, are we masked or on there?
For panelists on stage, it is up to their individual discretion.
All right.
I will help because I know it sounds a little muffled behind the microphone.
I don't think rhubarb has much of a choice.
Yeah.
All right, I see a couple more people trickling in. Ooh, a bunch of people.
Something else might have just left out.
Huh?
Something else might have just let out.
Oh, Twitter. Yeah.
One more post.
Oh,
Twitter.
do it.
She's a picture.
There we go.
Nice.
I was looking, I was like, what just went off on my phone?
Actually, ooh, I'm gonna grab that one.
Oh, I would love one, thank you.
She said, I'm just going to send you funny memes during the panel, see if I can get you to break.
Don't you dare. Certainly not the peanut M&M. Thank you so much. Don't you do it.
There you go.
All right, if they're late, they're late. They're missing out. All right, Fursquared, are you ready to meet and greet your GOHs for Fursquared 2023? Yeah. First off, I will allow you to introduce yourselves. Who are you and what do you do? Let's start with this fellow over here.
Okay, can you hear that? Yes. I'm Rhubarb, and I'm a furry musician, and I'm in the band Otter Chaos, and I play the violin, and I'm so honored to be here at Fursquared. And I'm a Pokemon too. I'm a Nidorino. I used to be a Nidorman, then I evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also a programmer. I'm a software engineer by day. Ooh.
So many hats.
Software engineer by day, Pokemon at night.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm a professional Pokemon. Yeah.
Speaking of Otter Chaos, who was here for the concert that just happened? Yeah?
Thank you all for coming.
And
Cool.
speaking of that, next
Hello,
up-
I'm Key Otter. I'm an otter and a Yoshi. And I am the other band leader of Otter Chaos. And I also happen to be Rhubarb's twin brother, if you think we sound similar. Do we look similar right now? I'm not sure. But
spitting image.
I'm a pianist and accordionist. And when I'm not doing fandom music, I'm actually a music educator. I teach piano lessons to kids mainly. And I'm a freelance musician, so I play in a bunch of bands that aren't furry bands. They're not as cool. What else could I say? Both of us are from Illinois. I'm from Urbana, Illinois, and he lives in Chicago. And yeah, we're super excited to be here. It's been a blast. Fursquared has always been one of my favorite conventions, so it's been really, really fun.
My name is Chise. This is actually my first time in Wisconsin and my first time at Fursquared, and it's been amazing and it's been quite an honor to be here. I am technically a pine marten at night, but during the day I am actually a vaccine researcher and scientist.
Woo! All right. So we know a little about what you do, but when did you first start performing? And when did you first start becoming interested in pursuing a career in microbiology?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think I started violin in elementary school because we had a good strings program, but actually performing,
Yeah, we both were involved in elementary, middle school, high school orchestra, and by the time we were in high school, we started just jamming with our friends. That's one cool thing about having a brother who also likes to play music, is we just would do a bunch of musical activities together.
Yeah, we have a third brother too who plays bass, but he's not a furry.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So you didn't
yeah.
invite him?
Yeah,
Get him.
we'll see. We're working on that. But so we often played with our little family band locally. We're like a little jazz group, and so yeah, I think we've been performing together for like probably since we were like in elementary school, actually.
For me, I was like, I just didn't know if you guys were finished.
Oh, yeah.
So I would probably say that I got interested in the scientists like pretty early on. I was a very big nerd in high school. I still am, obviously. But I was the president of our chemistry club in my senior year of high school, and it kind of went on from there. But for vaccine research itself, I was originally in college for veterinary medicine. But I switched over probably after about 2 years because I realized I loved animals more so than being in the actual clinic. So I kind of branched out and realized that I really liked working and pretty much analyzing viruses and seeing what they do and how to pretty much stop them in their tracks. So yeah, it started early on, but definitely high school was when I really fell into it.
Right. So you grew up just playing and performing and stuff together, a family band and stuff. Was there any specific people that influenced you?
A big influence is like MagFest, which is a music and games festival. So it's the video game music convention. And we went there in 2020, and we realized like there's a lot of people there. So specifics are like just a bunch of bands. I'm trying to think of actual inspiration.
Yeah, so we went to that video game convention, and that was pretty much around the time I started going to furry cons. And so pretty quick I was like, what if we did video game music at a furry con? So I know I've definitely, as a music teacher, been inspired by all of my music teachers as a kid, and I definitely owe a lot to my piano teacher, who encouraged me to continue playing and pushed me to decide to do the crazy thing of being a freelance musician. Yeah.
For me, I would probably say there was actually my chemistry teacher in high school, my 12th grade chemistry teacher, Mr. Soderholm. If you ever see this, thank you for everything, seriously. And then also my anatomy teacher in college, Dr. Black. Definitely some very inspirational people, and then along, with a lot of my colleagues that have gone on from where I currently am to where they are now. Just amazing people throughout my life that have kind of, helped me get to where I am today. Honestly, I did not expect to be doing this, within the fandom. I've kind of always kept my job and the fandom, separate, but, since the pandemic started, they just kind of merged together, and it's forever been that way right now, so I just rolled with it.
So what I'm hearing is, teachers out there, you definitely make a difference in people's lives.
Extremely.
A question for you two specifically. Can you give us a taste of your creative process? How do you compose all these different arrangements?
That's a good question. I feel like a lot of it comes where there's an Otter Chaos group chat, and sometimes we'll ask people what songs they think are cool, or we'll post links.
Yeah, it's we together, our first in-person FurryCon performance was in 2021 at Indie FurCon, and we just were we'll do this duo thing, and it was so awesome that a lot of friends were can we get involved? And so at that point, anyone who asked me, I was just I'll add you to the group chat. And our kind of process is, as a con approaches, we'll apply for it, and if we hear back and we're going to do it, then I just see who in that collective is going to come to the con, and then we arrange the music for that group of musicians. Sometimes tweaking a previous arrangement, and sometimes this involves, just kind of also being oh shoot, we need a drummer. Who knows a drummer who might be attending this con? So one of the challenges is, I'd say Otter Chaos is more of a musician collective, and often we send all the parts out, but we don't actually get to rehearse until we're all at the con, because we all live in various spots. So that could be part of the chaos, which our group very graciously stayed up very late last night to rehearse that show you just saw. And Fursquared very graciously provided us a room. We've done many a hotel room rehearsal at furry conventions, which is not ideal, especially with a group that size. So, and then one of the fun things is we kind of often have the band members do arrangements. So that set you just saw had arrangements from various members of the group, and that's really fun because all of us get to kind of flex those arranging muscles.
Yeah, and so like Ian Martin did arrangements, and like he's not even at the con, so people sometimes arrange.
So one of our friends was like, "Oh, I'll do a few." So some of the collective can get involved even if they can't attend a certain event. And you know, I think it's really fun for me too because this is totally different than the bands I get to be band leader in, say locally, where I'm more about trying to maybe book gigs and stuff. This one's a total different logistical fun problem of trying to coordinate with a bunch of furry musicians of various skill levels and experiences, and then it all comes together and it's really cool. So that's always one of my favorite things as a musician, and one of the reasons maybe I decided to become a piano teacher is I really like to get people playing music together. So I think that's kind of the whole fun of that group. And also one of the cool things about the furry fandom, it's a really creative fandom, so there's just a ton of artists and musicians who want to do stuff with other people. So I'd say that's sort of how the whole thing came to be and what the process looks like.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea that it's just like the night before, and
Yeah.
I thought you just needed the space, like, okay, we'll practice one more time. No, we are practicing the time.
What's really cool though is some of that group, Tonic and Eric, the drummer and bass player, are local to me, so we got to actually rehearse, and that was rare. So I was really lucky that there were some local furries who were musicians and have gotten involved in it. But generally, the group coordinates the parts, we practice it on our own, and then we come together, and we've definitely done the rehearsal right before the show a few times. That's part of the chaos.
Thank you so much. Chise, you're not getting out of this. So, my frame of reference for scientists is Dexter's Laboratory. So, what does a day in the life for you look like?
Oh gosh. Also, you brought up one of my favorite cartoons growing up. I love Dexter's Laboratory.
Dexter's Lab, Tamagotchis.
Yeah, 90s kid all the way through and through and through. The great thing about being a scientist is that your day in and day out sometimes is really never the same. You've got some routine things that you have to take care of in the lab. You know, like you check on your cells, you make sure that your colonies are growing. It depends on what I'm doing, but in the process, like everything starts with like growing a plasmid. And I should say that like it starts out from a little petri dish, and you have a little bit of, you know, like your plasmid encased in E. coli, and it just, you know, you guys have seen the little petri dishes. I'm sure everybody has had like those parties where they've had like the petri dish with a little bit of Jello in it, and it looks like it's like really cool, but you wouldn't want to eat it really in person. But yeah, so it just depends. Some days, while I am in the lab for hours on end, there are other days where I am stuck in meetings all day. And I mean all day. Like whether we're talking to someone overseas or we're talking to, you know, corresponding labs in the States, it depends. But every day is a little bit different. All I know is though, is that there are some mornings where I start bright and early before the sun comes up, and then when I come out, and it's kind of like in Zootopia where she was like, it's night. It happens all the time. But yeah, like I said, it just depends on what I'm doing. But currently, like with the project that I'm on right now, a lot of it has to deal with growing cells and hoping that these guys, you know, pretty much watching the stability study go on. It takes like anywhere from like 14 to 28 days. Like this one project that I'm on right now, I have been on since probably say last August. So it's kind of like you're hoping that everything gets to that endpoint all right without any hitches, but the problem is if it doesn't, you're starting all over, so you're kind of losing 5 months plus of work. So yeah, the problem is, or I'm not even going to say it's a problem, because that's what I like most about my job, is that it's never the same day in and day out. It's always something different, but it just depends. It totally depends on what you're working on at that moment.
That's interesting. Like all of you, it's kind of more like chaos, fluidity, and just kind of going with the flow and seeing where it takes you. So, the furry question, because of course I have to. Did you find the furry fandom, or did it find you? And what was your introduction to it?
I think one of my big influences is Neopets, because that one, I think, is one of the reasons I like Pokemon and Cube Monsters. And also it turned me into a coder, because you could like play around in your shop with HTML. That was one of my first web development experiences. So Neopets made me into a Pokemon, and it also made me into a programmer. And then, yeah, really just being on the internet, growing up, a lot of furry webcomics, I feel like if you spend a lot of time learning programming, you'll come across furry stuff and you'll be like, this is cool. So, yeah, I definitely would say furry found me then, because it was there. And it's great. I love the fandom. I've been going to cons since 2013, and I feel like I've been a furry since I was like in high school.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure if I would say I found furry found me, but I definitely got into it in the early 2000s when I was in high school on the internet. I was like, this is cool. I like cute critters. And then I think it, at one point at that time I was like, I'm probably an otter. But then it wasn't until probably close to 10 years later that I finally made it to a con. So once my brother had been going to cons for a while, he's like, you should probably go to one. So I'm a little newer to attending conventions. My first con was MFF 2020, 2019. So,
yeah, and we discovered furry independently. We were both furries for a while, and then he was like, are you a furry? I was like, no! And he was like, well, I'm a furry. I was like, oh, okay, I'm a furry too now.
It's kind of funny, it was like,
that was in high school,
yeah, we were in high school, and back then, there was just one family PC, and I found like some website about werewolves in the history. I was like, I didn't go to that website. Wait, did my brother go to that website? And then I like confronted him. So yeah, we both found out about furry independently, and then now it's amazing to attend cons with my brother and go on these wild furry adventures. So it's pretty sweet, and I wish I had jumped into the community part of the fandom sooner, because once I started meeting other furries, I was like, wow, these are my people. I've never met so many cool folks, and yeah, it's been really rewarding. So yes, I'm glad I came back around, and yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you.
I am definitely going to say that the furry fandom found me. I grew up obviously like watching, being like 90s. I think this is off. Yeah. I think it might have turned up a little bit. Oh well. Oh. You're so sweet, thank you. So yeah.
All of us.
I think all of them are off. Yeah. They're definitely all off.
Whoa.
That's okay. I can talk loud enough. I've had to do this many, many times before, so it's all good. And I can really echo. Oh, perfect. So, definitely, I would say that the furry fandom found me. I grew up, obviously, in the 90s, liking stuff like Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, all of those, like Gummy Bears, all of those old good Disney shows, and I really loved My Little Pony growing up. It was just amazing. However, I would say that I've always liked that, but I never knew that there was a name to it. I never knew that the fandom existed. So in 2015, one of my colleagues I found was drawing in a sketchbook, and I kind of looked over her shoulder in a moment, because I was like, okay, that's not science that you're working on. What are you doing? And she was drawing at what I did not know at the time was an angel dragon.
Oh,
so I was like, okay, what's this? So semi kind of fell into it that way, and she's sitting there and telling me, there's this thing called fur affinity, and do you like anthropomorphic animals? I'm like, heck yeah, I grew up with that stuff, tell me about it. And I sit there and I go on FA, and I'm like, what is this? I'm seeing all the art, and then I'm seeing the fursuits, and I'm like, this is amazing. How did I not know that this existed? And I'm finding out you can sit there and make, your own little page, and you can get a character, and, get a Sona and start making art. And I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. I couldn't draw, but I knew how to reach out to people and say, hey, can you draw my character? I'm looking for a ref sheet like this. And I had a pink fox named Stardust, and that's where I started. And my first con was AntherCon 2015, and I was, a friend at the time was like, okay, I don't really feel like wearing my fursuit, if you want to go walk around in it, go for it.
That was like one of the best days of my life. I think I stayed in that fursuit probably for about 8 hours. Went home that night, and then I had that fursuit by the time MFF 2015 came around. Because I found the pre-made. I'm like, yeah, okay, I think I'm in this for the long haul. So it's been about 8 years now, and I've gone through several characters and several suits, but now it's just like, I cannot imagine my life without it. And it's just been amazing. Ooh, whoa. That got really loud. Like, I found my husband through the fandom. I've found several friends through the fandom, and it's just like, it just feels like home. I love it.
I would agree. I have a burning question for you specifically.
Yes.
What's your favorite Neopet?
Oh my goodness. I like the little, like, what was the ones in the snake game started with an M?
Meerkat?
Meerkat.
No, not Meerkat.
But yeah.
Meerkat?
Something
Can
like
somebody
that.
help?
Those ones were cute.
Meerkat.
I like the little frog thing, like the Kiko. We had one of those. It was a long time ago. I don't remember my Neopets password. I lost all my pets.
I miss Neopets.
I used a fake email to get my Neopets account, so that was long ago.
Yeah, like the email we made it with. It's so long gone. And I quickly pivoted into Pokemon. I said Neopets, but really, I watched a lot of Pokemon when I was 10, and then I was like, I want to be a Pokemon. And now here I am.
All right, so besides becoming a Pokemon, this is a question for all of you. What would you say is your biggest success?
In life or in the fandom?
In life. Let's go with life. Or both.
Well, I guess my biggest success seems it's unrelated to really furry, but I'm a programmer and I dropped out of my computer science degree, and then many years later I got sober, went back, got my degree, got a job as a software engineer, and now I bought a fursuit with that software engineering money. So there all together. That's my life being achieved.
Cool.
I don't know what's next for me, really.
This is an interesting question. I don't know if I've really thought about this, but I know that for me, I really value community and my friends and my family. And I mentioned I'm a music teacher. Definitely one of my biggest successes is the influence I get to have on my young students who are budding musicians. And I think that's pretty similar to how I try to go about life and with my friends and just try to uplift everyone and make sure we're having a good time. So maybe I would say my biggest success is just trying to impart my musical knowledge and trying to instill a love for creativity in others.
For me, I'm definitely going to say that working on our COVID vaccines has been one of probably my great successes, along with the rest of my colleagues and our team, because of the sheer amount of work that we had to do in such a short amount of time to get those up and rolling, especially when the pandemic first hit in 2020. But then also, last year, I was awarded the National Institutes of Health Directors Award for Omicron Response Team, so that's definitely.
Thank you for your work.
Absolutely.
All of us here appreciate it. Let's see. Oh! What is your next big project or your future plans?
Ooh. Well, let's see. I think we actually have next weekend, me and Rhubarb are going up to Minneapolis for VGMCon, a video game music specific convention that's a little smaller than Fursquared. So it's kind of a small event, but it's in the Midwest and it's video game music. So we were like, we gotta go. Last year we did a similar trip where we went to Fursquared, had a week off, and then went to VGMCon.
We're in the other order last
Oh
time.
yeah, this time they're back to back, which is kind of crazy. So we're actually going to be bringing Otter Chaos in with us two and then two other musicians. So like I mentioned, a
There's
totally
other furries.
different furry group to this event next weekend, and that's part of the fun. I think
It's kind of like a tour.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little Midwest tour for us. So this has been our first stop. Wow. And I think like that was kind of one of this whole thing being guest of honor, and Fursquared said we could have a dealer's den booth, so we got some merch. Oh my God, it's over there.
Go get some merch.
And that was a big project for us too. We had never done that. I've never done that with any band. So, and then we're always looking for more cons to perform at. We haven't announced this officially, but we'll be performing at Anthrocon. Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh!
So that's going to be a big road trip for us, and we're really excited about that. And yeah, those are some of the many things we have cooking.
Now, do we need to keep Anthrocon a secret, or should we?
You can tell. You can maybe I'm not going to tweet it yet, but Anthrocon, this is really early for the cons to tell people that your panel's been accepted. But I guess Anthrocon's just really on the ball about that this year. So yes, we happen to be going to that one. You can see us there.
It's gonna be fun. I like our NAFCON. My next project's coming up. I should say I'm currently in the process of working on them, so if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen that I've already kind of talked about them, but currently my ongoing projects are HIV vaccines and personalized cancer vaccines. So.
Oh yeah, what do you think?
I was just, first I'm just like, wow, that is, I mean, going to band on tour, pretty cool, but HIV vaccine, that's the future. That's science right there. Oh my goodness, technology. So that is some big stuff.
Don't undersell yourselves.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
We're playing the Anthrocon, cool.
You bring a lot of joy to a lot of us here.
Well, I'd say a big project for you is this was Rhubarb's first time performing violin in fursuit.
Yeah.
And
That was I only tried that in my apartment once, and I was like, okay, I think it'll work.
But yeah, that was amazing to see you.
Yeah,
up
because
there.
this did not start as a fursuit band. It just slowly morphed into it.
I gotta say, seeing a giant needle bun playing the violin was magical to me.
Wow.
All right, we've talked a lot about furry, we've talked a lot about what you do and what you like, but outside of all that, do you have any other hobbies, talents, passions?
Both of us love board games. We're both Magic the Gathering players. So we grew up going to game stores, and we even both worked at a board game store locally for a while. I did that before I pivoted into the music teaching. And so I'd say that's probably one of our favorite hobbies. We love going to board game nights with our friends, and I even saw, is there a Magic the Gathering pre-release here? I think maybe there was on the schedule, I don't remember.
I think so.
Yeah, anyway, I missed that, I was too busy.
They have a lot going on in board games
Yeah.
down there.
What do you think, any other hobbies?
Hilariously, I'm in the agriculture business and software, so I know a lot about farming and tractors. It's completely unrelated to all of this.
We're from Illinois. We got corn.
Turns out those are very complicated, so there's lots of software involved in that.
4-H.
Yeah. We were
Great.
camp counselors for camp for a long time. That actually kind of was one of the things that made me realize I might like teaching kids. So I was a camp counselor for a long time.
Were you guys both in 4-H as well?
Yeah.
We did that at my for my undergrad over at Maryland, and it was my first year showing. And my mom was like, "Is this really what you want to do?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to show a land for the show. Like, I want to do this." 4-H was amazing. It was a lot of fun. But that does tie into my hobbies. I absolutely love horseback riding. I have been horseback riding since I was in first grade, and I've never fallen out of it. I absolutely love it. I started out doing Western because, my dad's side of the family is from Louisiana, so started out with that. But then as I grew up, I got into hunter jumper, and I've never fallen out of it. I love it so much. It's a little bit hard now sometimes with work and being occupied. I don't get to do it as much as I would like to, but I'm gonna try and make a little bit more time for myself and kind of fit that back in again.
Bring your horse to work then?
I wish. I don't think the campus would let me on with one. I can try. Yeah, it's like going up to the security guard because we flash our badges every day, and I'm just walking up with a horse with me. Like, everything's fine.
I'm either bringing the horse or the fursuit. There's one or the other.
Oh, okay. Back to me. Oh, a very important question. Do you have any pets?
I don't right now. Our parents just got 2 new cats, though, so I got to go visit them. See the kitties.
Yeah, they adopted some cats from the shelter, and they're adorable. Yeah, I don't have any pets myself, but maybe I'll get a cat someday.
I do. I have a little, I call her a puppy still. She's 5 years old, but her name is Pigeon. She's a Maltipoo. I love her. It's like, everybody asks, where does her name come from? And it's like, we call her Pidge, and you could say that came from Lady and the Tramp, but then also an anime that I loved growing up was Voltron, and Pidge is one of like the best characters on there, so yeah, but we call her Pigeon for her long name. She's a little fluffball. She's very, she's a little bit spoiled, maybe just a tiny bit, but yeah, I love her. She's a sweetheart.
If you're not spoiling your pets, like,
what are you doing?
Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Thank you so much. I'm about to open it up to the audience in a second. But before that, is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Or, I don't know.
I can't think of anything.
I don't know, just it's been an awesome weekend. Fursquared's incredible.
Yeah,
So
this has been a fantastic con to be guest of honor at. Like the hospitality here,
Yeah.
your team has been absolutely amazing, and I cannot thank you guys enough for everything.
totally,
Like,
yeah.
even down to the wire of asking for cough drops right before this. Thank you. Like, you guys are amazing handling the dry Midwest air. I'm used to humidity because Maryland technically is on a swamp. So yeah, the dry air.
Midwest is weird. It's super dry in the winter, and then it gets really humid in the
Yes.
summer. And I did notice that it was pretty dry here.
Oh, I'm going to bring a humidifier next year, but I will definitely be coming back to Fursquared as an attendee.
Yes, we would love to have you. All right. So, audience, do you have any questions for any or all of our guests right here up in front? Yes.
So, given that 2 of the 3 of you just played a video game music concert, I'm curious as to what all of your favorite video games are.
That is so hard. That is so hard.
I love multiplayer games, personally. So, probably my favorite game is the Super Smash Bros. Series. Both of us grew up on Nintendo. We were definitely Nintendo kids. And so the Super Smash Bros. Games always really appealed to us, and we always got super excited when there was a new one coming out, figuring out which characters were going to be in it. And so, as a multiplayer game and Nintendo fan, some of my favorites are Mario Kart, Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers, and I think I would just say those. My personal favorite as a kid was Yoshi's Island, the Super Nintendo game, and that maybe started my love for Yoshi as my favorite video game character. And I just like platformers in general, so.
Do you main as Yoshi on all those games?
I do, main as Yoshi.
Yeah, that's a hard question. Often it's just like the last game I played. I'm like, that's my favorite game now. But Smash is a good answer. I like that. And
Wait, what about Pokemon?
yeah, Pokemon. We'll go with that.
For me, that one is really, really hard. I grew up playing Sega Genesis. I grew up with Super Nintendo, like Mario and Sonic. Sonic I played like from number 1 until like Sonic and Knuckles. Didn't get really into like more of the newer Sonic games, but right now I would have to say like Kingdom Hearts I fell into and just loved that game. I remember playing the first one over and over again until I broke that disc and then had to replace it. It was just that good to me. But definitely Kingdom Hearts and Zelda are like my top tier. Like Breath of the Wild coming out soon. Cannot wait.
Definitely another reason I love Super Smash Bros. Is they always have all the music from all these different series and their arrangements, and that's always really appealed to me as someone who loves video game music. So
I'll play Link on Super Smash like all the time. Like.
All right. Anybody else? All right, with the ears.
Hi, yes. I have a question for Chise. Hi, so you mentioned you ride horses.
Yes.
I do too. I was wondering 2 things. 1, how long have you been riding for? And 2, have you ever tried dressage?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so I've been riding since I was in first grade. Okay, and then when I was at University of Maryland, I was actually part of the equestrian team. So we did dressage, we did jumping, we did competing. I actually got my first horse through University of Maryland because I worked. Pretty much my first summer job was on the campus farm. And it's like, everybody's like, oh, did you really want to work on a farm? Like, living in the suburbs growing up, I was like, gosh, I just want to be around horses, like, no matter what. So that summer, this was my freshman year, got a job at the campus farm. They were giving up a horse. His name was Ninja, but his racing name was Lucky Little Guy. But he couldn't do jumping anymore because they said that he had like a bad tendon in his left leg, or his left rear leg. I bought that horse for $300, saving up like just weeks on end. And my boss that was, she pretty much ran the campus farm. Her name was Lindsay. She showed me a barn that was nearby that I could keep him at, and literally what I would do is, after I worked at the campus farm at Maryland, I would go over to that barn and I would literally clean out stalls, and it would help me with his board for the month. And it was just dressage, though, to answer the other part of your question. Dressage is so much fun. So much fun. I know a lot of people don't like it's. I'm going to say, like, you know how like there's specific types of art. Dressage is not for everyone. I personally love it because I think it's pretty cool that you can be on a horse and make them do something and look like you didn't even like bat an eye to get them to do it. It takes a lot of skill. I love it. But at the same time, hunter jumper seat, because it's just that rush and that adrenaline. I love it.
I do both.
Yes, same. It's like I can't choose just one. Just let me do it all.
All right, more questions.
I feel like I can be left. All right. So we were talking about video games earlier. Just like based on your personality type, what would you say your Pokemon typing is?
Ooh.
That's a great question.
Well, as an otter, I think I'm a water type. I always love Vaporeon, and Weasel is really cute. So I'd say I'm water, and maybe water normal, just kind of hanging out, swimming around.
Oh, well, I'm a poison type.
I was gonna say.
TJ, what's your Pokesona?
Okay, so this is probably going to shock some people because I'm sure most people would probably say, oh yeah, she probably likes fairy type. I love ghost Pokemon. Ghost Pokemon are the best. Like, no offense, I love poison type too, don't get me wrong. I love water type too. Waters are always my starters for some strange reason. But ghost Pokemon, like, just, oh my gosh. Whoever played, was that Sun and Moon with Mimikyu? Yeah. That gym? Oh my gosh, tell me that you all didn't get scared when you're looking around and you're like, what's going on? And the door in the back with like the pictures on it. It's like, this is the best gym, like, just ever. Not even really gym, it was just like your challenge. It's the best. Ghost Pokemon, yeah, top. Also Miss Drevis, yeah.
These are some good questions. You got any more?
That was a great question.
This is a question for Otter Chaos. Your concert today might have inspired me to, when I get back to Champaign, pick up my trumpet again.
Ooh,
so,
nice. I've actually been learning trumpet for like a year. I'm not very good yet.
My questions are, first, what sort of level of proficiency would you recommend before I start trying to really perform at even smaller events or something? And how can I connect with local musicians there?
Okay, yeah, so I would say almost every musician kind of struggles with wanting to maybe jam and play more, but then you're like, oh no, I'm not proficient enough. But I would say you should just jump into it. It can be difficult to find people who want to do that sort of collaboration. So I definitely recommend finding people who are at a similar skill level and interested in the same type of music as you, which can be difficult, but if you meet a bunch of musicians, it's great. Locally, meeting musicians is kind of different than, say, like there's kind of even like in the furry fandom, I found that I really love how the furry fandom is really good at meeting each other online, and that actually kind of inspired me to start trying to meet musicians online. I was like, wait, if I can meet furries like this, what if I can meet other musicians? So you might even try to find musicians in the furry fandom. Locally finding musicians, going to shows is great. if going to like places that are venues that have it can be a way to find your local music scene. Finding open mic nights is really cool because that can be a way to do that. Especially as like a trumpet player, linking up with someone who's a chord instrument who can like back you up is going to be awesome, because that trumpet and melody instruments can be a little harder to say do an open mic at. But yeah, I'd say get involved in your local music scene, and for me, when I started having so much fun getting involved in the furry scene, I actually kind of tried to transfer that excitement to finding musicians online, and I realized that they were pretty similar. So maybe some of the things that you've done in the fandom, you can kind of be like, okay, I'll try that, but for music. Oh, what's up?
Problem is I am very bad at networking, so...
Yes. Well, yeah, attend shows, meet other musicians, especially folks who are your skill level, and you can go from there.
All right. I saw it first.
This is a question for Chise. I am extremely interested in the medical field and the field of like studying disease. Is there a specific disease that you love studying?
Oh gosh, that's actually a really good question. HIV, like, while it has been a challenge, has also been one of the most fascinating viruses that I've been working on. I would also probably have to say I haven't gotten the chance to do anything with it yet, but Marburg virus, because that's a huge one that really needs attention, especially in a lot of other countries outside of the United States that I feel like we need to focus on, is definitely one that I would like to get into. But currently, I'm going to say not the bane of my existence, but a challenge, and both, you know, one that's, like I said, extremely interesting has definitely been HIV. It's been one that's been around for way too long, that has gotten, you know, pretty much out of a lot of people's grasp, that I think it's probably time to put an end to that one.
Yeah.
All right. You're right here, so.
What was your dream job as a child, and how has that changed over the years?
Ooh. I remember one time, for some reason, when I was like in high school, I was like, my dream job is to play jazz piano at a bar on a beach in a tropical island. I thought that would be really cool. I was like, I'm going to be like a cruise ship pianist, and then, I don't know, travel the world. Because I'm not sure I remember having a dream job as a kid. Maybe I wanted to be an otter.
I definitely wanted to make video games. That's how I got into programming. I was like, I'm going to be a video game creator, which still hits me every once in a while, that dream. But it turns out web development is really cool too, and like there's a lot of need for software that isn't like Facebook and Google and Amazon. There's all these other aspects of life that use software. So yeah, I've pivoted from like video games to like big tech to like other elements of society that need technology. And so basically I'm saying, well, I'm not doing my dream of making video games, but programming all around is still very, very exciting.
When I was growing up, the biggest thing that I wanted to be was a veterinarian. I think a lot of people grow up with that dream. You know, everyone, you know, frequently loves animals. I loved dogs, loved cats, and I, of course, loved horses. But I really thought that I wanted to be an equine veterinarian. There are, and I'm sure anybody who was in veterinary school knows for a fact that there are great parts of veterinary medicine, and then there are the bad parts. And I could not necessarily handle the bad parts very well. So I pretty much started to switch over into human medicine, and then got into oncology and then vaccine research. So I always wanted to be a veterinarian, and while I always have that love for animals in my heart, I just could not make it through the darker parts of that side. So
Understandable.
So, you said you grew up on Voltron. What series did you start watching on?
the original 80s version, you know, back when anime was like, you know, okay, everybody remembers Toonami, right? Like growing up with Voltron, Sailor Moon, the days of Reboot, and then Dragon Ball Z, I used to love, I think, if I remember this correctly, and this is how much I was into it, Voltron used to come on at 4:30 right after Dragon Ball Z, and I would never, ever miss it. So it was the old one, and it's like, when you look back at it now, the dub is kind of like, little bit funny. It's not for everybody, but that's what I grew up on, and I loved it. So that will always hold a special place in my heart. The remake, though, that was that by DreamWorks? I can't remember. Yes, that one was fantastic too. Like, it was dynamic. It was amazing. So going from that one, you know, that was originally from the 80s that my mom and my aunt had watched as well, to now, it's just, that's a classic and always will be. I still have some of the old DVDs.
I got a question, and what's your mostly starter favorite ever Pokemon in every game for all three of you?
Well, I'll let the Pokemon start.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's Nidorino. That's, I think, my favorite Pokemon. But the whole evolution, like Nidoran, Nidorino, Nidorina, and Nidoking and Nidoqueen, all top tier Pokemon.
Well, what's your favorite starter?
Oh, starter? I missed that part. Oh, wow. Maybe Bulbasaur, because Bulbasaur is actually a poison type. Grass poison. So that's the one poison starter out there.
Let's see. You know, I said I liked water, but I really loved Charmander. That was my original choice when I played Pokemon Red on the Game Boy. And then I think I picked Torchic. Wow, I think I'm abandoning water as a kid after that.
We're so young, so naive.
Yeah, right? And then, and my Pokemon knowledge is going to fail me after Sapphire. Who are the starters in the Game Boy Advance one? I'll put it over to TJ.
So my favorite starter might be a little bit unpopular amongst a lot of people, but I really liked Poplio because it was just so cute. I'm sorry, I know everybody's like, oh, he looks kind of goofy. He looks like is he supposed to be a dog or a seal? I thought he was really, really cute, and I loved like the evolution line for that because Primarina is like really pretty, but Poplio had to be one of my favorites. I kind of diverged away from water starters as well because after this most recent one, Fuecoco kind of stole my heart because of the way he looks up at you when you're picking starters, and I'm like, there's like no thoughts going on between those eyes. So I had to select him. He was just way too cute, and I also gave him a stone to stop him from evolving. So that's just my little favorite one. So those two definitely.
All right, we are coming towards the end, so I'm going to do a lightning round. What's your favorite color?
Pink.
Cyan.
I guess I could have guessed. Favorite movie?
I don't actually watch a lot of movies.
I'd probably have to say Princess and the Frog. Love that one.
I'm going to say The Princess Bride because you just said princess and that popped in my head.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Hey. Seafood in general.
Yeah, seafood is fantastic, sorry.
I'm an otter. Give me the fish.
I want the crab.
Well, I'm blanking. A short lightning round, but yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you so much. You have been wonderful.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
We're looking forward to seeing you again next year.
Absolutely. As an attendee this time, for sure. I will be here.
Yeah, definitely. We'll play.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and enjoy the rest of your time. I know you have a flight to catch.
No,
but
thank you guys
lovely.
for everything. Gotta get back to work.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
You.
Thanks for being a great host.
Silver Gatoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gatoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gatoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.